Hello, meet you with Sandenani from Edukea Company, and welcome to our history session in our topic of establishment of colonialism in Africa and subtopic African resistances or reactions against the imposition of colonial rule. So now let us proceed with the types of resistances or types of African resistances against the imposition of colonial rule. So there were two main types of resistances, main types of reactions which Africans made against the imposition of colonial rule. And those include small-scale resistance or primary resistance and large-scale resistance or secondary resistances. So let us discuss one after another, starting with the small-scale resistance. So small-scale resistance is the type of resistance which fought for short period of time over a small area or small group of people. That is why it is called the small-scale resistance. So in here, this kind of resistance fought for a short period of time, like a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, but not only a short time of period that took place. Again, it took place for small area or small group of people. Mind you that small area fought on the basis of tribal lines occurred during penetration of colonialists. For example, in here we have those resistances like Nandi resistance, Hehe resistance, Nyamwezi resistance, Yao resistance, and the other resistances. Small-scale resistance was influenced by local rulers or leaders who organized their small groups of people to take arm against European invaders to defend their territories. For example, in Hehe, Chifu Mkwawa of Hehe was the one who organized his people so that to take action against the German invasion or German rule. So this was small-scale resistances. And here we have examples of small-scale resistance which will be discussed as follows. We have Hehe resistance of 1891 to 1899, Nyamwezi resistance 1881 and 1891 up to 1894, Yao resistance 1888, the Bunyoro resistance 1893, as well as the Maasai of Kenya resistance of 1895. Not only this, even Nandi resistances. So these are some examples of those small-scale resistances which took place over a short period of time and over a small group of people. So we have to discuss one after another briefly, starting with the Hehe resistance. So Hehe resistance of 1891 to 1898 was a small-scale resistance which occurred in 1891 to 1898, fought between Hehe tribe against German rule or German control under the leadership of Mkwawa. So this Mkwawa, Chifu Mkwawa of Hehe, was the one who organized his majority so that to fight against German rule. Or Hehe resistance was a small-scale resistance fought between Hehe tribe against German from 1891 to 1898 under the leadership of Mkwawa. Hehe resistance was among of the strong and powerful resistance imposed towards German colonial power, since it fought for many years and brought a lot of damages, sufferings, and disturbances to Germany, because Hehe tribe under the leadership of Mkwawa had good war techniques. That's why they maintained to fight against German rule over a long period of time. this was about Hehe resistance. So since Hehe had a good military techniques, they maintained to fight against the German over a long period of time. And they inherited from Ngoni tribe, such as cow horns, short stabbing spears, and long height. Therefore, through good war techniques, Hehe and Mkwawa formed a strongest kingdom and they resisted against the German rule than the rest resistance in East Africa. That is to say, the strongest resistance in East Africa against the German rule was that of Hehe. So Hehe maintained to fight against Germany very strongly and actively against any other resistance in East Africa. Then after we have the causes or reasons for the Hehe resistance. So let us discuss them. The first one was interference of Mkwawa's leadership. As we saw in general factors for the African resistance. So Germany wanted to control Mkwawa and they forced him to accept German control. Due to that, Mkwawa disagreed to accept German rule as the result of Hehe resistance. Other point was to protect political and economic interests. Hehe decided to react against German rule, or they waged war against German control, so as to protect their political and economic interests, which were overlapped by the German government. Other point was cultural interference, or interference of culture. German interfered Hehe culture, such as polygamy, belief in many system, and so forth, which made the Hehe and the Mkwawa harsh, hence fight against the German. That is to say, German interfered Hehe norms, traditions, and customs. For example, they believed in polygamy. Polygamy belief that involved having many wives, more than one wife. So they believed to marry 30 wives, 20 wives. While once Germany came, they prohibited those system of marriage. And since they believed that polygamy was the sign of unity amongst the Africans, so they decided to disunite them so that they could rule them easily. So by doing so, Hehe were not satisfied as the result of making resistances or reaction against Germany. Other point was German harsh rule. Germany ruled Hehe very harsh, not respectful to the Hehe. They forced them to pay tax, to work, and to take their land. As a result, Hehe decided to fight against the German rule because of the German harsh rule that were introduced. Also, killing of Mkwawa's delegates. Germany killed Mkwawa's delegates who were sent to compromise as the result of Mkwawa revenged by killing German commander known as Emma von. So by doing so, Germany were not satisfied as the result of war started. Also, Germans' occupation or control severe areas in Tanganyika. Hehe and Mkwawa fought against German because they wanted to control Ugogo, Uluguru, Usagalen, and Mpwapwa, which had more than 410 economic importances to the Hehe. So because of this, led to the Hehe resistance. Also, blocking of trade routes. Another factor. So German blocked the trade routes which are prolonged by Hehe as a result of Hehe resistance. And in here it's where conflict was started between German and Hehe. Due to the above reasons or causes of the Hehe resistance, the war or fighting broke out, which took a long period of time. Germany attacked Mkwawa in 1891 following the killing of German commander Emma von Zelski at Lugalo. In 1894, Germany attacked Mkwawa's capital, known as Kalenga, but Mkwawa succeeded to run away or escaped, and started to fight the guerrillas' welfare until 1898. In the same year, that is 1898, Mkwawa, while he was hiding himself, he became sick. The Germans approached where he was hiding, and Mkwawa did not accept the shame of surrender to Germany. While he was alive, he shot himself in July 1898 and died. So he decided to shoot himself so that to avoid the shameness of being attacked and killed by Germany. That is why he decided to kill or to shoot himself. So this is all about Hehe resistances, and there are some effects of Hehe resistances. Since some people died, many people died, properties were destroyed, people lost their lives, and other effects. So this is about Hehe resistance. Let us proceed with the Nandi resistances. So Nandi resistance of 1896 to 1905 was another small scale resistance fought between the Nandi tribe in Kenya against the British in the same year, following the British occupation or control over the Nandi land. So once British took control in Kenya, particularly in Nandi land, led to the Nandi resistance, or was a small scale resistance occurred in that year 1896 to 1905, when Nandi tribe in Kenya resisted against the British control over their land, organized by a leader known as Koital and Okoliot. So these were leaders who organized the Nandi resistance. And the resistance occurred since British invaded and occupied and controlled Nandi land by constructing or building telegraphic lines and railway along the Nandi Rift Valley, which were fertile for crop production and livestock keeping. So Nandi were not happy for the construction of that railway lines and termed or called the iron snake. Therefore, they started the resistance by attacking the British military position, uprooting and cutting wires, and attacking the British caravan trade and raiding the railway deposits and so forth. So Nandi did that because they believed that they had the superior weapons and the military to fight against the British as they conquered the neighboring territories. The reasons or causes for the Nandi resistance: introduction of railway lines along the Nandi land, whereby Nandi resisted against the British because British constructed railway line on the Nandi land, which they defined on it for farming and livestock keeping. Land problems or alienation: British took Nandi's best fertile land and gave it to the white settlement. As a result, the Nandi fought against them. Other factor was Nandi's pride. The Nandi fought against the British because they believed that they were superior, strong and powerful socially, economically, politically, militarily and culturally. Hence, they decided to wage war. They did not want to be controlled. Another factor was the pressure from Kinyol's prophets. The Nandi decided to fight against the British because of the prophets of the Kimnyole, who foreseen the coming of foreigners on their land, which made the Nandi to fight against British after they arrived on their land. The killing of the Nandi leader, who is Koitalend. Nandis resisted against the British following the killing of their leader, known as Koital, when he was called in the meeting of stopping the resistance. So British made that strict to invite Nandi leader who was called Koital that there is a meeting. There is a meeting to make negotiation of stopping the war. Instead of making the conversation of war stopping, they decided to kill that leader, that Nandi leader who is Koital. So after the killing, then Nandi seriously resisted against the British rule. Let us discuss effects or impact of Nandi resistances. Number one was death of people. Nandi resistance led to the massive loss of people's lives, including leaders such as Koital himself, who lost his life, and other warriors. British colonized the Nandi land. The British defeated the Nandi during the resistance. As a result, they took the Nandi land and made the Nandi to lose their sovereignty. Destruction or damage of properties. The Nandi resistance led to the destroying of people's properties, including land, railways, telegraphic lines, killing of livestock, houses, and so forth. Hunger and famine. Nandi resistance led to the occurrence of hunger, that is, shortage of food. Since resistance took many years and even people themselves were not involved in production activities, since they had much concentrated to the war as the result of famine and hunger. Migration of people. Nandi resistance led to the restlessness of people because during the and after the resistance, people ran away or migrated to other areas. Land alienation. Nandi resistance led to many Nandi people to remain landless since after the resistance, British took Nandi's fertile land. So then Nandi remained landless. Nandi resistance led to the introduction of cheap labor, since those Nandi people had decided to be employed as cheap laborers to the British central farms. Overgrazing of some areas. Nandi resistance led to the environmental degradation, since the area which the Nandi pushed or migrated were not enough, so led to the overgrazing in those areas. This is about Nandi resistance. Nandi resistances. Nandi resistance. Another small scale resistance is Nyamwezi resistance of 1891 to 1894. So Nyamwezi resistance was another small scale resistance against the German rule, organized by Nyamwezi under the leadership of Chief Isike. The Nyamwezi resistance occurred as the result of Germans' monopolization over Nyamwezi's trade and passed through their land, such as Ujiji and Mwanza, which broke their first good trade relation. So after German doing so, then it led to the Nyamwezi resistance. And the Nyamwezi started the resistance under the leadership of Chief Isike in 1891 in order to avoid the German control. But due to poor weapons, Germany attacked Isike's fort and destroyed it. But generally, Nyamwezi failed to maintain their resistance against the German rule. And there are reasons for the failure of Nyamwezi resistance, including absence of a strong army or weak army, which made Nyamwezi not to maintain to fight against the German rule. Poor weapons, also this made them to failure their resistance against the German rule. Disunity among the people. Nyamwezi disunited themselves against the German rule. Poor fighting techniques. They did not have the good military techniques. This made them to prove failure. So another point was poor war organizations. They were not organized nicely themselves. That's why they proved failure. So then after, let us have a task and we shall meet on other session. But before it, let me give you a task about what you have discussed. It is discuss general effects of small-scale resistances in Africa by giving 6 points. But history or in writing, you must provide vivid examples, since those examples increase the credibility of your task and your experiences. Thank you. Let us meet on other sessions.
Purchase your tracks today.